gorgeous Thursday morning here in Memphis in the Mid-South. It's like 56 degrees outside. There you go. There's the queen.
Smile.
It is going to be an absolutely awesome day. It's what you make of it. Harry, the great blue heron, was down on the coast this morning when Michael Jordan was walking on 30A. Huh? Harry, the ultimate confidence decoy. Look, take a picture with your cell phone of the QR codes, and we are on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. 8 channels live simultaneously. Take a picture, share, and like. Brendan and I, as he says, cannot emphasize that enough.
Talk.
Yeah,
you can pretty much figure out what we're doing 24 hours a day. We're on all the time.
Yeah, we really are. We've got a lot of great shows. We added an LSU show, Go for the Goal, with Frank Duffy on Fridays, and we got Kevin Skarbinski, Buddy Martin, Lauren Meadows. We've got Die Hard. We got this show. So let's get cranked up. Matt Dean, the coach in Memphis, John Hartwell in Fairhope or Monroe, and Shane Matthews will join us momentarily from Gainesville. He's just now wrapping up his morning show that he does. But guys, where do you want to get started? There's so many great games this weekend. You know, we got Florida going out there to College Station. You've got Auburn entertaining Georgia at home. They're going to try to break that streak. I'm old enough to remember when Auburn, Georgia was a rivalry. Yes, can remember it, boys, when Auburn won. That was 2017. And they lost to them in the rematch, the SEC championship game that year. But look, okay, yeah.
We're gonna bring in Shane Matthews right now.
Yeah, and there's just so much going on. But you know, guys, Shane, good morning, and thank you for checking in with us. I know you're going from one show to the other. It's like a 4x400 relay. John Hartwell is on. He knows you, has known your dad, and also Coach Matt Dean in Memphis is here with us, and of course Brendan Martin, executive producer in Ocala. Shane, calm us all down. You gave me some great advice. I was talking to you on your show. You had me on, and I said, what would Coach Spurrier say to you before you ran out of the tunnel? And all the excitement and all the chaos. I love the way you approached that, because you got a great history, and we want to hear your thoughts on everything going on in college football with these quarterbacks and whatever's on your mind. But first, thank you for taking time to join super hyped up Mr. Coffee, Rob Browne, and the Sidelines crew.
Glad to be here, guys.
Shane, when you look at the landscape in college football, and you see all these quarterbacks that are coming in with the accolades like an Arch Manning, DJ Lagway, and then there's Ty Simpson, who's a fourth-year junior at Alabama. What do you think these guys? What's different versus back when you played?
Well, I think social media. They got all these Elite 11 camps, things of that nature. The combines. Yeah, I never went to any of that stuff. I also played 3 sports until I went to college. I don't think kids play enough sports now. I think too many people specialize, and I think it hurts them when it's all said and done. So if anybody's listening to this, you got young kids or grandkids, tell them to play every damn sport they can until they go to college, and then you can decide. I look at quarterback play. I mean, you can go back and you look at all these Elite 11 quarterbacks, and hardly any of them ever play college football, right? They never pan out. I think too many people get enamored with size, arm strength, and speed. None of that really has anything to do with playing quarterback. It's decision-making, accuracy and anticipation, mental and physical toughness. That's what Coach Spurrier always looked at. That's what I look at. I think that's why you look around the country, one of my closest friends, Kerwin Bell, his quarterback, he probably has the best quarterback that nobody knows about in America. The kid was 46 for 46 in the game the other day.
Yeah.
In the game, 53 of 56 against Wofford, I think. Phenomenal. Kerwin says he's the best passer he's ever seen in his life, and he played with Dan Marino with the Dolphins. But I think Lane does a phenomenal job. Trinidad Chambliss, he ain't big. He doesn't have a great arm, but boys, he got great feet, makes good decisions, he's accurate. So I look at those type of things. I don't care how big and strong and how hard you throw a football. It doesn't mean no good, ain't going to win a lot of games.
Yeah. John Hartwell jumping here with Shane Matthews. That right there, nobody can tell it like that. That was a brilliant dissertation. I love that.
How you doing, Shane? It's been a while.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Doing well. Hey, I got to send regards from the Gula. I was in Pascagoula last week and ate dinner with Brad Lott at Bozo's, and he said to tell you hello. I was telling Rob, Brad said, yeah, ask Shane about when his dad played at Ole Miss and played. He was the only guy who wore cleats and no socks and got his nickname Indian Bill.
I love it.
Very, very true. I think a lot of people don't realize. I mean, I think the Gator fans that listen to my show, they know how much I love the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, because my dad played there. My mom was a cheerleader there. And, I grew up in the Delta up in Cleveland, Mississippi. We didn't move to Pascagoula until my junior year of high school. So I really only lived down there for 2 years. But, we got deep ties to Ole Miss in my family.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, hey, that's interesting. You bring up Kerwin, because I know when I was the AD at Troy, we talked about Kerwin, and that guy hadn't done anything but just continue to win. I'm now on the other side in the search business, so I am. In fact, I'm gonna call you to catch up soon. And Kerwin is an outstanding coach, but
He really is.
Yeah, you look at the quarterback play, and I think you're exactly right when you talk about social media and what's going on. But last week we had Matt Stinchcomb on, and a guy in the trenches, and he referred to it as it's too much pajama football now. He said this 7-on-7, that's pajama football, and I think mental and physical toughness at the QB position. I think people don't give enough credence to that, but because again, these things where the guys wear a yellow shirt in practice and they don't get hit or anything like that. Did you wear a yellow shirt when you were in high school or in your days in Gainesville playing?
I did in high school, but believe it or not, we did wear yellow jerseys as quarterbacks with Spurrier. Here's an interesting story. I never got hit in practice.
Shane, I don't mean to interrupt you. We're having some audio trouble. Brendan was saying, could you pick up your mic or maybe the Bluetooth, because we're getting kind of a.
Well, I'm just got on.
That's perfect.
All right, I'll just hold it right here then. Is that better?
That's perfect now. Yeah, there you go. Oops, perfect now. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I did wear a yellow jersey. All the quarterbacks did under Spurrier. We never got hit. I didn't even wear a chin strap in practice. We took a damn beating in the games, but I played my sophomore year at 170, 175 my junior year. My senior year, I was 180 pounds in the SEC. Never missed a game, and I took a beating. But I think I've always said I think guys are blessed. Like you got a strong arm, or you're fast, or whatever the good Lord blesses you with. I think some people are blessed with being injury prone or not being injury prone. And I was lucky I wasn't. But back to the 7-on-7, I've never understood this 7-on-7 stuff and these people videotaping it and showing highlights from it. That ain't football. I could go out there right now, 55 years old, and light it up in 7-on-7. I mean, until the bullets are flying and these 300-pounders are coming at you through the A gap and coming off the edge, and you got to move and you can't see. That's quarterback play, but 7-on-7 is not quarterback play.
Matt Dean, jump in here. Shane Matthews. All right, Roman Harper, the truth broker. Shane Matthews, Stinchcomb's the Punisher. Shane Matthews just delivers. I love this. Everybody needs to hear this. Trent Dilfer, are you listening?
Hey, Shane. Pleasure to be on with you. I grew up in the Midwest, and I'm probably going to take you down a road you never thought you'd be asked this morning, but I'm a big Chicago Bears fan. And in 2001, you were on a team that went 13-3, won a division. I think Dick Duran, rest his soul, was your head coach. He was a defensive guy. And I think in the division round against Philadelphia, you actually got in the game because I think Jim Miller, the quarterback, got hurt. Mm-hmm. And obviously you lost to Philly, but you had 2 cups, you had 2 stints with the Bears. And I think my question is, growing up playing for offensive people, legends like Coach Spurrier, how was it to be a quarterback in probably one of the most defensive-minded franchise in the history of pro football?
Well, I was lucky. As you said, 7 of my 14 years I was in Chicago, and it's a great franchise, great city. They love the Bears, but all they talk about the 85 Bears, right?
That's right.
But it's a hard place to play. I mean, they haven't really had great quarterback play there. I mean, you go way back, I guess McMahon. I don't know. I mean, they've had a million quarterbacks, and I was one of them. Had some good games in Soldier Field and had some horrible games.
But playing there, it was special. It's probably my favorite organization I played for just because of the history.
Shane, there's I think something's covering up the mic. We can barely hear you. Yeah.
I guess it was my hand.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's what it is. Yeah, I think that's what Brenda said. I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay. Yeah. So perfect. Play. Dick Duran was a great coach to play for. Loved the guy. Real calm, cool, collective. That was a good team we had. And like I said, Jim Miller and I basically kind of alternated when we weren't hurt in those days. But that was a good Bears team for sure.
Shane, these quarterbacks, let's talk about Arch Manning for one of them to start with, and then DJ Lagway. I love the Mannings. I've got a farm, lifetime rights down in Lambert, Mississippi in the Delta on 49. Love Cleveland and Clarksdale and Abe's Barbecue. You grew up in the Holy Land. My grandparents are from Helena. I didn't know you were from the Delta, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a bigger fan. But when you look at Arch and the criticism he's coming under now, if you were his coach, how would you be handling it?
Well,
to help him. Yeah.
Arch probably has had more pressure on him than any quarterback since his two uncles, right? Probably more than them, playing at Texas and what have you. I thought he played pretty damn well against the Gators. I will say this, that Texas offensive line, now that's the only time I've seen them play this year was live. They ain't very good. And I don't know how they're going to handle Oklahoma's front at all. That was one of the worst performances from an offensive line I've seen in years in college football. Thought Arch moved around. He's extremely athletic. He's a lot like Granddad, how Archie played back in the day. Yeah. I think he's going to be fine. I don't think Texas is as talented offensively as they've been in the past few years. And I think, quarterbacks are usually only as good as the players around them. I don't think he has a great supporting cast.
Yeah. Shane, you're the color analyst on the Gator Network, you and Sean Kelly. And Steve Spurrier, your coach, said it was 3 or 4 plays ahead of everybody else. That's the way you are on the radio. So everybody watching, do yourself a favor, download the Gator Athletic app and listen to these Gator broadcasts. I mean, I remember last year coming back from an Auburn game back to Lake Martin. It's about 30 minutes listening to y'all. I think it was the LSU game last year. But do yourself a favor, put the radio on, sync it with the TV. Doesn't matter. Turn the TV down. Listen to what he says. John Hartwell, jump back in with Shane Matthews.
Hey, Shane, want to touch base on 2 hot topics, if you will, that have come out here in the last 2 or 3 days, and they both have a college and NFL component to them. But the news coming out yesterday from the NCAA, which, again, the NCAA, for a long time, the NCAA's rule book was way too thick. It should have been, about 1/10 of the pages. The latest thing coming out yesterday is the ability for college athletes to gamble on professional sporting events. I want to get your take on that. And then the second one, again, 2 topics here we could probably go on for days on. The second one, Belichick's conversion from the NFL to college, and reports coming out that is quickly crashing and burning officially. But and probably the kiss of death, both he and the athletic director at North Carolina coming out last night saying, I'm committed to Bill Belichick as being our coach, and Belichick saying, I'm committed to turning North Carolina football around.
Well, I'll start with the Belichick. I don't know what's going to happen there. They're a bad football team. And again, it's year 1. I think people thought he was going to walk in and win a bunch of games. And it will take some time if he stays there, in my opinion. I thought part of the reason he took that job was because isn't his his son, the coach in waiting or something along those lines? If he were to retire, I thought I read that.
He's defensive coordinator. Yeah, he's got 2 sons on the staff. Yeah.
Right, but I thought one of them was like, when Bill retired, he became the head coach. I thought that was part of the contract. Maybe I just read that wrong, but I don't know what they're going to do there. I don't know if he makes it or what. I don't follow the ACC that much, especially I don't follow North Carolina. On the gambling portion, it's crazy today. I don't know how you can even control any of it because, back then you used to have to call someone to place a bet. Now you pick up the phone and you can bet. So, and there's commercials all over sporting events, right?
Right.
Supposedly you can go in like Major League Baseball parks and bet right there with, so it's just part of our society now. And I don't know if it's good, bad, or what, but it's kind of bizarre in today's world.
It reminds me of back in college at Auburn, the Monday afternoon fire sales guys in the fraternity house would have to sell a lot of stuff to pay off Vinny the Knife, Joey Bag of Donuts. It's like guy walking around with a limp. Shane, the SEC race, Florida, talent. I think Florida has the best high school football players in America because of the track and field programs there. We talked with Antonio Cromartie on our Die Hard podcast a couple of weeks ago, who played at Florida State. He is out in Texas now getting into coaching high school. He said within 15 minutes of him, there's 2 high school stadiums that were built in the last couple of years, north of $80 million apiece. He said in Florida, we didn't have that kind of stuff. Talk about the difference. But I mean, as an Auburn grad, Auburn makes a living in Georgia and Florida and always has. But you talked about the multi-sport part of it. How that is so big. Track and field is your insurance policy, in my opinion, for every sport you play.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, I would say anywhere down here in the South, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, tremendous athletes all across the board. The problem with the state of Florida is they don't have the funding for whatever reason. They don't like Friday nights are not like what it's like in Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. The towns don't shut down, and you got. I do a lot of work in Georgia, and the facilities at these high school teams are ridiculous. Yeah. Nobody in Florida has those, but Florida doesn't pay their high school coaches well at all. They don't. It's terrible. That's why you lose a lot of coaches to the state of Georgia because of the pay. But yeah, I mean, Texas is a different world when it comes to facilities for high schools.
Yeah.
But you throw Texas and all these southern states in there, there's tremendous athletes year in and year out.
Yeah, and that is interesting. We're going over to Atlanta to see our oldest daughter that went to Alabama. She's still a good person, and we got to go over there and see her because everybody in my family's all. I'm married to Evolve for life, Shane. I got crazy. I got somebody's always happy around this house, but we're gonna right up there by Buford High School.
Oh,
that's ridiculous. I mean, it's right there by the Mad Italian, one of my favorite restaurants there in Dunwoody. But it is insane, Matt. We look in Memphis. I went to Christian Brothers High School. Oldest all-boys school in Tennessee since 1871. Tom Nick Stadium, Landers Field, one of our sponsors. Thank you, Landers Ford. But Matt, that's an interesting take. 23 million people in Florida, all that money and everything, and they don't want to fund the high school football like that. That's shock.
Well, from a recruiting standpoint, Shane, I've coached 35 years at a Division III school in Rhodes College in Memphis, right? So one of the things we will always go to Florida, not so much from the perspective of the talent, but the fact that there's no Division III schools in the state of Florida. It's all D1, NAI, or Division II, right? So we have success on the academic side. We're highly academic selective to find student athletes from the state of Florida just because there's not any Division III competition. And last question for you. What impact, it looks significant to me, did Dallas Wilson have for the whole Florida offense getting back healthy? And he had a great first game back, out. If he can stay healthy and they stay healthy, I said last week on this show, we have an old saying in basketball, the conference season doesn't start until you lose a home game. And Florida hasn't lost a home SEC game. They lost an SEC game on the road at LSU, which a lot of people will do. Can they make a run if they can keep this offense moving in the right direction?
Well, our record under Coach Napier is not real good on the road in the conference.
Right.
So we can see. But Dallas Wilson, we knew he was highly touted because he initially committed or signed with Oregon and got out of it, and we got him. Saw him playing the spring game, and it's a spring game, right? Usually you kind of set that up for success here and there, get the fans excited. But when I look at receivers, I always say that dude looks like he should be playing at Ohio State, right?
Yeah.
they put They have a ton of receivers in the league right now, and they all look the same. He looks like one of their guys. He is a big, powerful guy.
Yeah.
You saw what he, I know fans get excited when he kind of twists his body and catches back shoulders and stuff like that. That doesn't get me real excited because you're supposed to do that, dude. You're
Right.
playing at the University of Florida. You're a big time wide receiver.
Yeah.
But when the DB fell down, we threw him the go route, and then 3 other Texas guys could not bring him down or even push him out of bounds with about a yard from the sideline. That showed you how strong he was and how athletic. So, yeah, he can make a difference. Now, again, that was the best game that we've had under Billy Napier in his 4 years, coaching-wise, playing-wise. So hopefully we can build on that moving forward.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, Shane, as you look at the SEC, and obviously we still have 7 weeks to go. If you had to pull out your crystal ball right now, who would you have playing in Atlanta for the SEC championship?
I think Alabama. I think they're playing as well as anybody. I think Ty Simpson is playing at a high level. I've loved their creativity that they've been doing offensively under Ryan Grubb. Look, Ole Miss, they don't have the so-called 5 stars that a lot of these other teams do, but Lane can coach them up now. He can scheme you.
Yep.
And the next 2 weeks, after this week, they're going to destroy Washington State. Then they go to Georgia, and I think they go to Georgia, and I think Oklahoma's at home. Florida comes there later in the year, but I think the next 2 weeks will determine if Ole Miss has a chance to make it there. And boy, wouldn't that be something? They've never been to the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of John Mateer at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I think I've always thought Brent Venables was a phenomenal defensive coach, and then he kind of took over their defense again this year. They're outstanding, and they bring in Arbuckle, and he brings Mateer. I think Mateer's the best quarterback in America. I heard he may play this week. I'm not sure if you guys know that or not.
Yeah.
But I think Oklahoma has a chance as well.
I do too. Shane, I want to ask you another one. Look at Auburn. Hugh Freeze is in his 3rd year there. He's got Ken Austin on the staff, Derek Nix. I don't know if it's, participation coordinators, you get to call the first play, you the second, third. I don't understand all that. But that being said, your football mind, I've watched you on your show, you and Buddy Martin, folks on this channel Monday nights. You got to watch Buddy and Shane. Y'all two are like father and son. I mean, it is y'all go at each other.
You're more like father and son than we are.
I mean, it is. I love it because Buddy is so good to me and helps me. It's like asking Michelangelo for art lessons. If I want to write something, and he will rip you a new one, but you're going to do it right. But I got to ask you, Hugh Freeze has been there 3 years. Peyton Thorne the first 2 years struggled. Now Jackson Arnold's struggling. Is it the schemes? What is it, in your opinion, that's the main problem?
Well, I'm surprised. I thought Hugh Freeze did a tremendous job at Ole Miss, right?
Yeah.
That's what I have in my mind when I think of him calling plays. And then I saw last year, it just didn't look right. So I assumed it was Peyton Thorne. And then, Jackson Arnold was one of those 5-star guys, highly acclaimed at Oklahoma, played terrible there. So was he in the wrong system? But he has not played well other than, I've only seen him play one game, quite honestly, Rob, and that was the Baylor game when he turned into a running quarterback. They got a tremendous, they may have the best receiving core in America, but they're not using them. So I don't know if it's the system or if they still don't have the right trigger man. I don't know that. I know they got that highly acclaimed kid from Mississippi. Is it Deuce Knight?
Yeah, Adam Loosedale. Yeah.
Maybe they need to try him. I don't know. I don't follow Auburn enough, but I get it. People are always going to jump on the play caller. But I always say, you still got to go execute whatever the damn coach calls. Yeah. And I'm not sure if Auburn's doing that or not.
Yeah. I'm heading down to the Georgia game to see if that is the case. But SEC football, Shane, it's a quarterback league. Another one, before I go back to John, DJ Lagway, you get to be around him. You're up there in the booth. Again, you see things like a sniper does when he goes deer hunting that other people just don't see. You hear things. DJ Lagway seems like he's getting better and better with every rep.
Yeah, he missed a lot of time. DJ, he's a gifted passer. Everybody thinks he's a dual threat guy. Last year, I've been watching him. I thought he was a good scrambler at times, but I didn't think he was a great runner. I think he's a really good thrower. He struggled because he missed so much time due to injury. He's still hurt. He re-aggravated something the other day, but it was probably his best game he's played. He had to stay in the pocket. I thought they simplified things for him against Texas. They kept the ball outside the numbers on a lot of his throws. It was almost like, okay, DJ, you get this look, you're going to take your steps and you're going to fire it out there to Dallas Wilson or somebody on the outside. And then he threw some deep balls. I say on my show, I've been saying ever since I started doing radio, the easiest and safest throw in football is down the field. It's take your steps, look a guy off, and launch it. You don't have to worry about trying to find a passing lane or throwing a guy open across the middle in a dig route or whatever. But DJ's getting better. But we also blocked people last week, and that helps. So if our offensive line plays well.
Yeah. Matt, John, jump back in here. We got about 5 more minutes with Shane, and thank you so much, Shane, for taking time. We got to do this again because this is like clipping a course in the MBA program at Florida in the business school.
Shane, go ahead.
Go ahead, Matt.
No, I was just going to say quickly, I think you made a great point, Shane, about that Oklahoma front. The combination with Venables and that defense, and then Mateer, when he gets back with that offensive coordinator he took with him from Washington State, they seem to have the perfect identity on both sides of the ball when Mateer is healthy. I just, talking about the run we got coming up here, man, I really like you mentioned Alabama, but I like Oklahoma too. I just think defensively they can hang in there until Mateer gets back with everything they do up front.
Yeah, I think they beat Texas this week, and the other team I left out, which was stupid, are the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
As long as Kirby's there, they're going to be in the hunt.
Yeah. I mean, Matt, John, jump back in here with Shane because I have Georgia to win the league playing Alabama, so I got to stick with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Alabama, they go to Missouri this week, and Missouri, has surprised some folks early. The emergence of Ahmad Hardy, the leading rusher in the SEC, and from Lawrence County, Mississippi, and when I was at ULM this past year, and Ahmad was a true freshman and led the nation in FBS rushing, and then blows up in today's world of NIL. Do you think Missouri can hang in that game, Shane?
I do for a little while. I think Alabama's really hitting their stride right now. Now, Missouri hasn't been tested, so to speak. It seems like the conference, when Missouri came in, the league office kind of gave them somewhat of an easy schedule every year. I've been to Missouri twice now doing the radio. That place will lull you to sleep, especially if you play at 11 a.m., which this game is. So, I'm not a big fan of the 11 a.m. kickoff, but it is what it is. I think Eli Drinkwitz has done a great job at Missouri, but I think it could be a game early, but I just see Alabama hitting their stride and kind of taking control of the game in the second half.
You make a great point there, those 11 a.m. games. And I know coaches, if you're the road coach, you love seeing an 11 a.m. game for a couple of reasons. One, most of the students probably still recovering from Friday night. So if they make it into the game, it's usually about halftime. It's just not regardless the stadium, it's not at full tilt of game day atmosphere. And then obviously you get home at a reasonable hour too to start prepping for the next week.
Yeah.
So true. So true. Those 7 and 7:30 games on the road, like we'll get home about 3 a.m. after the A&M game on Sunday morning. It's not fun.
Yeah. Well, before you go, A&M going out there to College Station. Tony Barnhart's going to be on the show with us tomorrow morning. And he said, Rob, I'll do my best. I'm going to yell practice Thursday night. So it ought to be something. But when are you heading to College Station?
Well, I go on the team plane. So we leave, we go Friday. I'm actually, if I can stay away, I go to bed early, even on the road trips. But I'm thinking about, they also have Yale practice or whatever the hell they call it, Friday night at midnight.
Yes. Okay.
Midnight Yell.
Midnight Yell. Okay.
Oh, I've been to the Midnight Yell.
Is it worth going?
No, because you got to go with your honey, and then everyone makes out at the end. It's weird.
No. I think
No, that's what happened.
That's probably for the A&M people. But I had some folks from A&M on my show this week, and they said it's open to the visitors. You just walk through a certain gate, and when I've only been to A&M one time, and that was we played there 3 years ago. I was more fascinated with the fans and the damn yell leaders during the game than the game.
Yeah.
I just first of all, it's weird you don't have real cheerleaders to me.
Very weird.
But the arm gestures and the little dance moves and all that stuff that they do, and the fans are doing it.
Yeah.
It cracks me up. But boy, I tell you what, they love their school there. And
they do.
It is a cool place.
They
go to fish school when you're a freshman. So you go a week before orientation to learn all the calls.
Yeah.
And Shane, we have Olin Buchanan, TexAgs.com on with us a lot over the years. And he and Billy Lucci.
Rob's in witness protection. I guess he went under there. Elon Musk satellite feed. He's Buchanan came on and last time he was on, he wasn't too happy because I guess Rob made fun of the Oh, there he is.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know
what's going on. He froze up. Froze up on it.
Froze up. But Shane, they've got over 20,000 students in the College of Engineering out there. I remember when they came in the SEC, Pat Dye was on Feinbaum and he said, "I'm going to tell you something, Paul." He goes, That's about as good a fit as you can find. They got all that tradition and that Army Corps cadets and that old collie dog out there, and they stand and the tradition, and they're going to fit right in, Paul. I ain't seen one like it. But it is going to be fun. But Shane, let people know how they can follow you. You do a great podcast show every morning, an hour right before we come on the air. So what a way to start your morning when you're up there running, working out, mountain biking, whatever. But thank you so much, more than you know, for sharing your time with us. And we definitely want to do it again soon.
Yeah, anytime. My show is called Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. It's on all the different platforms out there. We've been doing it for about 6 years. Somebody convinced me to do a podcast before COVID hit. I didn't want to do it, but here we are. We're still doing it, and it's taking off like crazy. And you can follow me on Twitter. I think my Twitter handle is SM9er.
Okay.
But yeah, I appreciate it. You guys do a great job, and thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. We'll do it again. Thank you.
Take care, Shane.
That is fun stuff. I didn't know he was from the Delta. Dadgummit. I mean, the Gula, as Maury calls Sylacauga, the Cauga. I didn't know the Gula, Pascagoula, shipbuilding down there, Trent Lott. By the way, that's where that, back in the 70s, that fella had that UFO land and pick him up. I think he was liquored up personally. But anyway, that was down in Pascagoula. Gary Harris should be joining us momentarily. He just said, be there in a minute. That was cool stuff. And how many times, certainly I'm not a medical doctor. I've duck hunt with quite a few orthopedic surgeons over the years. They all say the same thing. These young kids need to play every sport they can, multiple sports across the board. Dr. Andrews, Dr. Pete Indelicato. That was a cool interview we had on a few months ago, former Florida team doctor. But Matt, Brendan, John, that's cool to hear. When you listen to Shane on the Gator Network with Sean Kelly, Florida Gator football, it used to be brought to you by the citrus growers of the state of Florida. And as Perry Mason, one of our loyal viewers from Lake Placid, Florida, says, a lot of those citrus farms are gone now. And it's a different world. But thinking about the Throwing Mayo and Kerwin Bell from Mayo, Florida, that's tobacco country up there. That him as a coach. What's the name of that quarterback who hit 46 consecutive passes last weekend? We need to know his name.
Yes, I think it's the guy at Western Carolina. I think Kerwin is still the head coach for the Catamounts in Cullowhee, North Carolina.
Catamounts. I remember. You know what a catamount is? Anybody? It's a mountain lion, like a cougar or a pan. There's about 32 different names in the nomenclature for the cougar. Like we got them around here in Arkansas. On the river bottoms, and you'll hear them at night. Wow, may it scare you to death. Okay, so you talked about that Missouri-Alabama game. You look at the games coming up this weekend. Arkansas is at Tennessee. Bobby Petrino, one of the more likable guys in college football, he'll be taking Arkansas up to Knoxville for that game. And Josh Heupel, one of my favorites. What do y'all think happens there?
I have a question for John. Being the recruiter now, John, Is there any chance that Petrino can make a run and keep this job, or do you think that's just a formality? They've already got a short list. What do you think?
Here's what I think. From a pure coaching standpoint, he should be in the mix.
Right.
Candidly, the baggage, and no need to go into that.
It's
the
heavy.
Baggage. I don't know if he gets the job. My understanding, hearing from multiple folks, obviously there are 3 or 4 very significant factions in the fan base or in the donor base at the University of Arkansas. And I understand that one of those factions has already weighed in and said, over our dead body, will he be the head coach? Now, whether that plays out or not, who knows? But from his standpoint, he has nothing to lose. I mean, this is
no doubt.
This is his audition, and I expect they will pull out the full bag of tricks in Knoxville this week. Now, is that enough to win the game? Who knows? But I think it'll be an entertaining game for sure.
Well, one thing, and this is what I think happened. I talked with Dudley Dawson yesterday on the show, Inside Arkansas. I think when Petrino got there, he got every bit of money he could before the defense did for the players and all. And so the defense was depleted because Marcus Woodson, Travis Williams, Deke Adams, they didn't forget how to coach. They didn't get football lobotomies. Now, there are some coaches in the SEC that I believe are living brain donors, but that's too long a list to talk about. We'll talk about that later when Brother Theodore comes on the show. But Gary Harris from Tuscaloosa, I'm anxious to hear his thoughts. Yeah, Gary is trying to get in, Brendan, if you can see him. He said, I don't know. I don't see him, but he's texting me. But, I think when we start looking at, Missouri, Alabama, Florida at Texas A&M, there's Gary. Apologize for the technical issues.
Brendan said I was sideways, but
You were sideways. Yeah, you were like that. And Rob doesn't understand. I'm like, Rob, orientation locked. He's like, I don't know. It's like your web thing's off.
Yeah. Well, here we are.
It's just your orientation's
Am I
locked
straight
that way.
now or am I still sideways?
You're
sideways.
Hey, Gary may be the one that's
Yeah,
going
that's
the
fine.
rest of
There
us
you go.
to all be sideways.
Yeah, that's
Gary,
fine. You can go that way. That's fine.
Perfect. Gary, first off, thank you so much for sharing your time with us this morning. Catch him, WVUA Channel 23, sports director in Tuscaloosa, folks. Does a great show right after this, Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa. Put the app on your phone, and then Tider Insider TV Tuesday nights with our good friend Rodney Orr of Tider Insider. Gary, this Missouri game, what are your concerns? What's keeping you up at night, or what's making you say, we got this?
Well, I mean, neither one. I mean, it's an SEC game on the road. I mean, it's what it is. If you don't play well, if you're Alabama and you don't play well, you're going to lose the game. I mean, you've got this is a 5 coming off the bye, one of the best rushing teams in the country with a back that's dynamic. I still can't believe when he came out of Lawrence County High School in Monticello, Mississippi. And I mean, obviously, John's probably already spoken to, but he was begging for offers from the SEC and couldn't even get Southern Miss to offer him. And, he went to ULM and had a huge season and parlayed that into the SEC. But if Alabama doesn't play well, they'll lose the game. If they play well, I think they, will have an excellent chance to win. I mean, I have to, no disrespect to Missouri because I think they're a really good team. But if you're good enough to go into Athens and snap a 33-game Georgia winning streak at Sanford Stadium tonight, if you play well, you should be able to go into Mizzou and win. But that's the key. I mean, that's the key for every team in this league. Or most teams in this. There's a large group of teams that if they play well, they can probably beat just about anybody else. And if they don't, they'll lose. And if you have 2 teams that play really well, then it'll probably come down to who's the more talented team. But I think Alabama has an excellent chance to win this game. But it'll all come down to how they prepared this week, how they handle being on the road, an early kick, all those things that go into it. But I like Alabama to win the game 35-28.
All right. So Ty Simpson, 4th-year junior at the same school. Call him a unicorn, whatever. He's a coach's son. But damn, and he's got a little brother at Martin, Tennessee, Westview High School, who's a pretty good quarterback as well. Your interactions with Ty Simpson, what do you think?
Excellent young man. I think that there was a maturity process that he went through when he got here, being a 5-star out of high school, having played, as a dominant high school quarterback, grew up in a coaching family. I think when he got here, he wanted to play right away. And then not only did he not play right away, he really didn't play at all for a while. And I think he had to understand that this isn't high school anymore. He's not guaranteed anything. And I think he kind of then decided to, with the help from his dad, Jason Simpson, to grind, to say, hey, this is where I want to be. I've got an opportunity to develop and get better and mature and learn while I'm not playing, so that when he stepped into this role, he was ready for it in more ways than just wanting to get out on the field. He was, already graduated from college. He's in, master's program. He knew what to expect. He'd been played for Coach Saban for 2 years, already in his second year under Coach DeBoer. So he was a first-time starter at Florida State, but he was much more mature than your average first-time starter. And he was ready for the moment. And clearly he's got the skill set that probably is even beyond what I thought it would be. I expected that he would have a chance to be successful. I did not expect that at this point in the season. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Yeah, and the thing I said after the Florida State game was there were some guys that definitely got an LOM on their transcript or lack of effort in the Alabama game, but the one guy that did not stop hustling, fighting and scratching and clawing was Ty Simpson. There's your leader, no question. He's the alpha and the omega of Alabama football this year. John, jump in here with Gary Harris.
Yeah, I think Gary makes a great point there about Ty Simpson. And I know, in the age of NIL now, you hear some horror stories about, financial mismanagement of some of the money these kids have. But I think also having solid counsel, and that's not always mom or dad. Obviously, Ty Simpson is fortunate to have a coach as a dad. But to seek solid counsel when even giving a thought to the transfer portal or other things like that, and don't get enamored with, gosh, if I hit this button and I go to XYZ University, I can make an extra 50 or 100,000 or 200,000 even. I mean, that's a lot of money, and again, depending on backgrounds, that's a lot of money. But in the big scheme of life, that's not worth totally upsetting the apple cart. And I'll say this for Ty Simpson and others like him, obviously it looks like he's going to have an opportunity at the next level to play on Sundays.
Yeah.
But watch this play out over the next 5-10 years for guys that may not be NFL guys, and look what that does for them financially in their future, endearing themselves to donors of that institution who they chose loyalty and the institution over instant financial gratitude.
Gary?
Yeah, I mean, I think that John there, and certainly he understands it from an institutional standpoint, but he's right. I mean, for the guys that stay in a program and just what he said, endear themselves to that fan base, they're going to have opportunities outside of football when they're done. And also, I think, too, with the NIL era, you see a guy like Diego Pavia who maybe he'll play in the NFL. I'm certainly not going to say that he won't, but I think he also understands, that he may be in the highest earning time of his life. So, he is he's doing everything he can to make as much money as he can right now at Vanderbilt. And even though he denied that report that came out, there's no doubt that lawyer is looking into trying to get him even another year at Vanderbilt next year. So you've got players like Ty Simpson who have been at one school the whole time, and then you get players like Diego Pavia who transfer in and their profile is raised. And this is a different time for college football players, and the ability to make money and earn, in some cases, a large amount of money for these guys, can keep them in college and can keep them looking for extra eligibility. And in Ty's case, he'll be eligible for the draft, obviously, after this season. And I'm seeing now that he's being mocked into some first-round drafts, but he'll have options. If he doesn't want to go to the NFL, either to come back to Alabama or go to another school and earn more money for another year. So, yeah, it's a great time to be a college quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean, Matt, Monday night at the Touchdown Club in Memphis coach Ryan Silverfield, I asked him about financial literacy. He said it's a requirement every Wednesday for every student athlete at Memphis. His football players have to take it. And what he's selling to these kids for NIL is Memphis has that $25 million pledge from FedEx because the Smith family, big time supporters of Memphis. But then the Hydes, the AutoZone people, the Lowe's people, they're getting these internships and working with the people that run FedEx while you're there. That's a powerful thing to sell. But at the bottom, at the end of the day, you got to perform on the field. And Alabama, the roster is 1 or 2 in the country. I expect them to win at Missouri Saturday. I don't think it'll be easy. It'll be a full 60. Matt, jump back in here with Gary Harris.
No, John and Gary, you're spot on. I also think what's interesting about quarterback play, I think it's a lot like point guard play as a basketball coach. Continuity matters. And I'll give you an example, John and Gary. I'm going to connect Dante Moore and Ty Simpson here. You know, Dante goes as a freshman, 5-star, Detroit, Michigan, plays for Chip Kelly, starts 5 games at UCLA, transfers back to Oregon, a team that he initially committed to, sits an entire year behind Dylan Gabriel. He could have made a lot of money elsewhere, guys, but he stays there, you know, and now he's having a really nice year. And Ty Simpson, obviously, similar, different paths, but having a father as a football coach and just that mentorship in terms of, hey, you know what, it doesn't have to happen right away. And I think so many times there's so many examples of people and it doesn't work out. And John, you know this better than anyone. Some of the institutions you've worked at, your coaches have done a phenomenal job of getting high school talent in there and then seeing the rewards for other schools down the line. We're in a different era, guys, and really the Vanderbilt quarterback is so unique. And you're right. He could end up, you never know. I mean, he could end up on an NFL roster because he's got a toughness, uniqueness. I probably, as a head coach, wouldn't want some of the things said before the Alabama game, but you know what? He won last year, you know, and honestly, if you take away some of his turnovers this year, that game would have been a little closer. I still think Bama would have won. And right now, kudos to Kalen DeBoer. After that first game, it could have went a lot of different directions, Gary, but you guys right now are on the right track. And I think you go to Missouri and I think you handle your business. I think first half is probably pretty competitive. And I just think line of scrimmage matters. And I just think eventually you'll stop the run. I hope that's what I think. So,
Gary.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think, like I said, if Alabama plays well, I think they should win the football game. I am encouraged by the defensive line. I thought the second half defensively was the best half of football they played all year. I mean, Vanderbilt had the one drive that ended in the interception when they got the red zone, but outside of that, they didn't move the football at all. You know, they had 113 yards rushing after the first quarter and rushed for 22 yards the rest of the way. So, and offensively, they're good. And Miller makes them better. I mean, there's a reason he was the starting running back, and he's a guy that he can pass protect, he can step up and handle the blitz. He can pass catch. Obviously, he can run the ball. And then you look at the wide receiving core, the tight ends, and the way Ty's playing. So I think offensively they'll be fine. It's going to come down to, again, can the defense slow down Ahmad Hardy? I mean, he is. From what I've seen so far this year, I think he's the best back in the country. So he's a handful, and the guy behind him is good, and the quarterback Browne can run the ball. So and they can because of their running game and the way that it's they can scheme you up. They can get you flowing to one side, and then they can run a bootleg back the other way, and you might not have anybody on that side to defend it. And Alabama, that's one area Alabama's gotten better at, but their backside containment has not always been good this year. So that's the thing that worries me from an Alabama perspective. But if they can slow down the running game a little bit, I think Alabama will score points.
Gary, you watch a lot of college football. You're in Tuscaloosa, but you look around the league and around the country. What's really catching your eye in the SEC this year?
Just the parity, just what we were talking about earlier, that, in the past, you'd have those 3 or 4 teams or a couple teams that you knew you felt like were above everybody else. And you can kind of see that team or teams and know that there were certain games that you just felt like, they're going to, Saban had games, let's be honest. I mean, a lot of games that Alabama played under Saban in the SEC were over at halftime. Yeah. I mean, it would get, 40-something to nothing at half. Yeah. I think those days are gone. And then maybe every now and then there's an exception to that. But most of the time in the SEC, what you did the previous week does not necessarily mean you're going to have success the next week. Matchups are important. You look at Auburn is 0-2 in the league, but they played at Oklahoma and at A&M and had a chance, if they had any offense at all in those games, would have had a chance to win those games.
Yeah.
You know, and they're hosting Georgia, and I think there's a lot of people feel like Auburn can win that game. So that just speaks to where we're at in this league. You know, Mississippi State should have beaten Tennessee. They didn't, but they should have. And then against A&M, you know, they eventually wore down. Their defense did because they didn't have any offensive support. But their defense at Mississippi State played great at A&M for 3 quarters plus in that game. So every week you got to try to figure out a way to win the game that you're playing that week. And you can't look at brand, or you can't look at, you know, what you did the previous week. That particular game is unique, and it's going to be a back and forth type of thing. And there'll be a team, you know, there's a team right now that we're talking about probably that we say, oh man, that team could win the league. And 3 or 4 weeks down the road, I bet you they're going to have a couple losses. And maybe there's one of these couple lost teams that gets on a roll. So I just think it's wide open. That's the thing that struck me the most is, you know, maybe outside of Kentucky, who I still think capable of winning some games, and Arkansas because of the flux that they're in with their coach, and you know, Mississippi State, even though they flashed early, I'm not sure they can hold up. But, you know, the other 13 teams, I think you can just juggle them up and put them out there, and, you know, it's a coin toss.
Well, my good friend Maury Gaston from Sylacauga says that after the number 1 team in the SEC, 2 through 16, it's kind of like the top 20 players, the golfers on the PGA Tour. It's a couple of strokes difference, and just, you know, how they're feeling that day. John Hartwell, jump back in with Gary.
Hey, Gary, here's a hypothetical for you, and you're gonna smile when you hear the hypothetical. Put yourself in the shoes of Greg Byrne. It's you know, fast forward, it's a 9-game SEC schedule. It's one of the years where you have 5 SEC road games, and you have a home game against XYZ University that you can sell for $5 million towards NIL to take the game to Nashville. Is it worth $5 million NIL money to take away a home game from Tuscaloosa?
It really, John, just depends on where you're at financially in your you know, organization. I mean, you know, Auburn's doing it to go to Atlanta. I've already heard from some Auburn fans that don't like it. You know, they want their home games to be home games. But, you know, that's a great question. I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer it. In the modern landscape that we live in, I think you have to look at it, right? I mean, I think you have to, if somebody makes you that offer, Atlanta, Nashville, New Orleans, wherever it is, and technically you're still the home team, and it's not going to be difficult for your fans to get there, and you've got, you know, $5 million to put in your NIL coffers, I think that's something these ADs will look at, and I think you'll see it again. Whether or not Alabama will do it, I don't know, for the reasons that you just said. If it's a year where you got 5 road games in the SEC, to give up an on-campus home game, I don't know. But if you were in a situation where you just felt like you needed that money, then you might do it.
Yeah. Well, by the way, in Tuscaloosa, what's the great breakfast place? Is it Ferguson's?
Well, there's Ramajama's. There's he put me on a spot like this.
Yeah, there's one that's downtown that Coach Bryant used to eat at a lot. Not the Holiday Inn on 82.
Went blank on it. I mean, I don't know right now.
All right, well, but I'm just saying you do. It's a $25 or $30 million impact to have a home game. And
yeah,
John and Matt, y'all know that. I mean, and Gary, I know you got to go do your show in a minute. The temperature before you go. What's a story or something that's happening at Alabama that you know about? You're talking about that the rest of the world, people watching the show that we're blessed to have in our audience, need to know.
All right, phrase that for. I'm sorry, I've got some stuff going on here with my computer. Phrase that.
Yeah. What's a storyline from Alabama that you know about, you're talking about, but people outside of Tuscaloosa County really aren't hearing about that's important?
For Alabama football or just Alabama?
Alabama, period. Yeah.
Oh, man, boy, you were putting me on the spot this morning. Waysider might be the restaurant that you were trying to
That's it.
I don't know. I think that in the land of the internet and with all the different websites and so forth, I don't know that there's any stories here that we're talking about or covering that aren't getting out there. I can't really think of anything that we cover that people aren't talking about that are Alabama fans, whether it's in Georgia or Mississippi or Louisiana or Florida, wherever it may be. I mean, from being here with feet on the ground, I guess maybe it's being overlooked a little bit. Just all the stuff that we talked about in the spring and summer on this show. about how well things seem to be in alignment at Alabama.
Yeah.
And then that Florida State game happened, and people just went crazy. Like, oh my gosh, man, we've been soda bill of goods. Obviously, you weren't soda bill of goods. This team is a good team. I think they're on the same page. And I think, they went into a tough spot with a new quarterback starting against a team on the road that was ready to go, and they lost the game. But obviously, Alabama is what we thought they were, and they've got a chance to have a great year.
All right, Gary, and I want to find that lady that was willing to piss away $70 million if she won the lottery on Kalen DeBoer. Send it my way. I love that.
And I don't know why I was sideways either. I didn't do anything different with my phone. I don't like this long view that we've got.
I'll tell you what, it's above my pay grade. I've got Albert Einstein, our executive producer, and understands all that stuff. But Gary, what are you going to talk about on your show today?
Well, I've got Ellis Johnson coming on. He's always fun. D. Orlando Ledbetter from the AJC, the Falcons Report, Jeff Spiegel from 3340. So we got a jam-packed show today, 9 o'clock.
Thank you so much. We'll do
Thanks,
it again
guys.
next week. All right.
Okay.
See you, Gary.
Yeah, you get that. It's Brendan told me it's the orientation thing on your phone. I don't know how that thing works, but man, guys, it gets locked. But guys, this is fun, man. Shane Matthews came in, and I know we had to work through that. This is like flying a plane through a thunderstorm at 30,000 feet. Sometimes you just deal with it. But great conversation today, guys. John Hartwell. And John, you're down there with College Sports Solutions. When are you moving to Baldwin County to Fairhope?
Yeah, that's hopefully before the end of the year, hopefully before the holidays, trying to coordinate kids and houses and all of that stuff. But looking forward to it. I'm back and forth down there some. Actually be down there beginning of next week. Got a Tuesday night Fun Belt game. I'm going to see Arkansas State at South Alabama Tuesday night. What did I see last night? We were talking about Petrino earlier. I didn't realize his son-in-law is the head coach at Missouri State. I saw that watching some of that game last night, and they beat Middle Tennessee. But I think last night was the start of 49 consecutive days you can watch football on TV. That's a dream for those of us who watch any level of football.
I'm hearing it, the collective screams from all the wives and girlfriends out there. It's just 49 straight days. But you know what? And it just is nothing. There's nothing like college football. I mean, it really. But if you can run into Phillip Rivers down there at Fairhope, we'd love to get him on the show. He's one of the guys that a lot of people say, get Phillip Rivers on there at St. Michael's High School down there in Fairhope. Matt Dean, John Hartwell, thank you more than you know for sharing your time with us. And I'm going to come watch Matt's basketball team play and celebrate college sports, man. They're the best we got. Thank y'all. All right.
Guys, thank y'all.
You bet. You too. All right, let's say something about Landers Ford, people. They got in a 2024 Heritage Bronco yesterday. Brad Bellamy told me about. If you're looking for one, go to Landers Ford, Poplar and Houston Levy, where Germantown and Collierville come together. $500 off for SEC Sidelines audience members. You know what Ford makes? Expeditions, Explorers. They make the Broncos. They've got sedans, SUVs, the F-150 truck series, the F-250, the King Ranch. Huge inventory. Nobody will work harder to put you behind the wheel than Brad Bellamy, the general manager at LandersFordMemphis.com. And they're right down the street from our good friends. We love them. Hewlett & Dunn, boot and clothing company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. Hewlett & Dunn, remember, every day they're getting 15, 20 boxes from Barber, Filson, Stetson, Pendleton, Schaefer, Duckhead, STS, Devil Dog Jeans, Wrangler. And Ariat's got some of the best looking stuff you'll find anywhere. Over 7,000 pairs of boots. And if you need to get your boots restored back to life, nobody does a better job than Hewlett & Dunn at repairing old boots and getting them looking as good as new. They're open every day of the week except Sunday. HewlettandDunn.com. Right down, the next one is Rumble Boxing. How you fight is how you live. Engage both sides of the brain. Open every day of the week. Union and McLean in Midtown Memphis. How you fight is how you live. And Hemp for Pros, professional athletes, the gummies, the energy, the chill, the lights out, topical gels and lotions for pain They do a great job. That is Dave Bartu of College Football Matrix. So look, most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Stay tuned to this channel as often as you can. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, everybody. Make something great happen.